Hey, Frank here. Welcome to Springer's Adventure. Got something a little different going on today. My kids up in the St. Louis area found us a Brasilia 5-drawer Highboy dresser. We've been looking for one. They found one, so we're ecstatic to get it and to go ahead and restore it. This one's a little rough shape, but overall great bones. I am not a professional furniture restorer by any means, but watched enough online, read enough stuff, and tried enough pieces where I think we're going to get down pretty good. We used all Mohawk products on that. That we actually got at a Mohawk distributor up in the St. Louis area. Couldn't find any down here in Central Florida. Their products came highly recommended from a lot of people on their different Brasilia sites and everything out there. The guys that are really into restoring these Brasilia pieces. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into this 5-drawer Brasilia and let's see how it goes. And don't forget, subscribe. All right, we're going to start to get ready to work on this here Broyhill chest that we picked up. Like I said, this came out of the St. Louis area because it's just so hard to find this stuff down here in Florida. This one's going to need a total restoration. This thing was in pretty sad shape, finish-wise, but you know, bones-wise, it's in pretty nice shape. All the hardware's on there, and like I said, you know, just some really kind of scuffing on there and scrapes and paint missing. Did have one little chip down there. I put a piece of tape on it just so I knew where that piece went back on there. But we're going to go ahead and do something a little different this time. I'm going to bought a scraper to scrape this paint off with a carbide blade. Let me show it to you real quick. So this is the carbide scraper we got off, I think we got it on Amazon or eBay. I'm not quite sure which. That was the brand of it there. Carbide scraper. Seen another guy that does a lot of restoration of mid-century furniture, and he highly recommended it. So, you know, instead of sanding it or chemically peeling everything off, I figured we'd give this a shot and see what it is. I'm going to say this was probably in the $20 to $30 range. So, hey, if it works, it's well worth it. So, let's give this thing a shot and let's see how it works. All right, so it says just to apply some gentle pressure on there, and we're going to start. You can see where this is already completely worn off, so we're going to go back this way. Oh wow. Couple high spots right there. So it does get a little gummy there on that blade, so probably need to clean that off every now and then. But as you can tell, it's doing a really nice job. It doesn't seem to be gouging the wood at all. It just seems to be taking all that varnish and clear coat that's on there off. I'm not going to bore everybody showing them doing the whole thing here, so I'm going to go ahead and keep going at it. If I run into any difficulties or something, I'll push that back towards you. So stay tuned as we go ahead and finish this up. All right, so this is about 20 minutes it took to go ahead and do this whole top surface. I still got to get pretty close to the edge right in here. I just didn't feel like that there. There's actually nothing there. The wood's just a little bit darker stained, so I'll probably have to sand some in there. But overall, 20 minutes, like I said, a little bit right in there. And I already did the along here, got along the front right there, and along this side right over here. So I thought 20 minutes was pretty good. No chemicals. I have to get some sandpaper and do these corners here. But we'll continue on. Let's see how it goes. All right, so this is exactly an hour in. Got the top, got the sides. Like I said, I do have the sand close to the edges. I just didn't want to put too much pressure or try to gouge. So the two sides are done, like I said, without some sanding here. And then I'm going to take all the stuff out the front here, take all the hardware off, take the drawers out, and start from there. So hour in. Was this carbide scraper worth it? I think so. All right, so it's time to do these drawers here. So want to remove the hardware before I take the drawers out. And you can see there's just a couple screws there in the back to remove them, so no problem. And then we'll try to clean these up. I don't know how I'm going to clean them up yet. I guess I'll have to look and see if anybody else. And obviously, if you see this, I'll probably be done. But if anybody has any suggestions, drop them below if you actually cleaned and polished up the hardware from these Broyhill Brasilias. So let me pop them off and get these drawers out, and we'll continue to strip this thing down. So to get in this contour here, I'm just going to start off with some 150 grit and see how it comes out, because you can tell it's pretty thin in there. So yeah, it looks like that'll work just fine. So I'll continue on. All right, so about 3.5 hours in. Got pretty much everything stripped off, just ready to start do some final sanding on it. Obviously that top piece up there, but not looking too bad. I know this is going to be a little time consuming in there. Definitely happy with the results with the scraper, so let's continue on. So as you can tell, this drawer, I tried scraping it with the carbide scraper, but you can only get so much. I mean, this was like a really curved area right in there, and tried to get some off of there, but I think I'm going to have to use some liquid stripper to do on that one. So let me grab out the stuff I normally use. I normally use a citrus strip. I've had pretty good results with that. It's non-harsh. It's not supposed to be caustic to the wood or anything like that, and I've never had any issues. So I'm gonna go ahead and brush a thin coat of that on there and see what happens. I like to put it in like a little cup, and I just take an old chip brush and brush it on. And as you can tell, stuff is like a really liquidy gel, so just gonna put some on there and give it a shot. So I won't bore you with this. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it on. So went ahead and brushed it on there, and we're gonna let it sit. Says you can follow the directions on there. It could sit anywhere from like half an hour to like even overnight and stuff like that. I've used it before on a couple of Brasilia type pieces or Elena claims, and I know depending on how many obviously layers, and I think this is all the original, I'm going to start trying it at about 15 minutes and see how it comes off. It's pretty hot out here in Central Florida today. In fact, being in the middle of April, it's already like 85, 87 degrees down here, so it won't take long for this stuff to start working really good for the heat. All right, for the cleaning process, I got some 4/0 steel wool, always paper towel there, and I also have a razor blade here, and I'll try to get this as I can come on there, but you can tell it's taking it off pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape that off gently and then take some steel wool to it. So as you can tell, with just a little bit of scraping that stuff, it really took a lot of that off there. I'm going to hit it with some 4/0 steel wool now and see how it looks. Well, as you can tell, it looks like it's cleaning it pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. So far, so good. And you can see all the gooky stuff that came off there. So I'm going to continue with the 4/0 wheel here, 4/0 steel wool, and get the rest of this goop off. All right, so everything is stripped off to the best of my ability at this point. So now it's time to do some sanding on there. I think I'm going to go ahead and start off with some 150. Make sure break everything off of there that I didn't get all the little corners and stuff, and then we'll go from there. So anyways, that scraper and everything did a great job. Like I said, it looks like I got most of everything off there, and the top was just so dry and brittle. That stuff just shaved right off there with that scraper. So gonna go ahead and grab some 150 and get the sanding, see how it looks. So I grabbed a sheet of 150, put it on my sanding block, and gonna go with the grain of wood. So I always want to sand it in the direction of the grain. So let me hit this 150 on here and let's see how this top comes out. All right, so we got everything all sanded down. I did notice a couple loose spots of veneer here and up toward the top there, and went ahead and glued them down. Same thing with on that leg there. So got a little bit of glue in there, gotten those, trying to get those hold down to get tight and everything like that. And also got a couple spots, two down there and one over here, where it's a little bit of a gouge missing in there. So I'm gonna take some Bondo, put some filler in there, let it dry, scuff it down. And I put tape around it because I didn't want to get any more Bondo on the wood than I needed to, or have to do any more sanding than I needed to. So let's get a little of that there mixed up and put it in there. All right, got a little Bondo mixed up, and gonna go ahead and lay it down. We'll let that set up, give it a sanding, see how we are, and see if we need to put any more on there. All right, so we let the putty dry. It says it needs 30 minutes, had about an hour or so. So went ahead and sanded the other two down here, just taking some 150 on a sanding block. Gonna sand it down. Make sure I don't see any divots in there, anything like that. If you see any divots, like this one still has a little divot in there, so I'm gonna have to add a little bit more in there. That's why I didn't pull this paper off yet. So still a little bit of a low spot there. Just gonna add a little bit more in there. So let me get a little bit more, add some in there. All right, as you can tell, we have everything all ready to go to apply some stain to it. Got the dresser all ready. Got some plastic down on here so we don't get stain all over everything, but she's good to go. Gonna give one final wipe down with some naphtha and make sure we can get any dust we have off there. Gonna close the garage door and begin the stain. So let me give one final wipe down and I'll get the stain ready for you guys. So as you can see, with wiping down with the naphtha, really brings out the color of what the wood's going to be like. But the biggest thing is you just want to get whatever dust residue is left on there. Even though I've wiped this down numerous times, I know there's dust in the garage and everything else. So just wanted to get that all off to the best I can. So let me finish washing this down here, wiping this down, and we'll get ready for some stain. So just as a side note, when you get done using those rags, naphtha is highly flammable. I don't ever like to throw them in a garbage can, so I'm just going to throw them outside, let them dry before I dispose of them. All right, so I'm using this Mohawk stain. I want to do it in the grain, the way the grain runs. So just going to wipe it on. This stuff is very watery. It does appear to dry fairly fast too. Make sure I'm not missing any spots here. And according to the directions, I guess when you were done here wiping it on, whether you want to do the whole piece or a section at a time, and I'm just going to do a section at a time. And then you want to grab something. I'm going to use the blue shop towels and wipe it off. All right, so just taking a regular blue shop towel, again, in the direction of the grain of the wood. I'm going to wipe it down. Doing these drawers. All right, so it's been about 30 minutes now. I said give it 30 to 45 minutes, so we're going to wait just a couple more minutes, but just a quick shot of how it looks with the stain on there. And we're just going to give it another 10 minutes or so, and we're going to hit it with the vinyl, the clear vinyl spray on top, the vinyl sealer, which is supposed to keep it from any moisture or anything like that getting into it before we go on to the next step. So this is the vinyl sealer. Gonna give a thin coat of this on there. All right, so we've let this set for about 30 to 45 minutes now with the vinyl sealer. The next process on this is we're going to be using this Mohawk Umber Glaze. It's a lot thicker than the stain is, so we're going to go ahead and brush it on. You just leave it on basically for a couple minutes till it comes to a little bit of a haze, almost like an automotive wax, and then we're going to wipe it off. So let's go ahead, again, as usual, we're going to put it in the direction of the grain of the wood. And you can see how thick this stuff is going on. Considerably thicker than the stain. And this is going to add some color to this walnut. All right, so this is setting up for a couple minutes now, because you can tell it's getting kind of a hazy, waxy feel. So we're going to go ahead and wipe it off. And as you can tell, I mean, it comes off nicely, and it really does change the color of the wood. I'm just using these blue shop towels here. I'm just going to use another completely fresh one right here just to get it off. So here I am just going and finishing the top of this glaze. And like I said, this glaze really adds some nice color, that walnut color to it. Also fills in a lot of little small imperfections you may have in the wood. And I think just overall really helps out the appearance on that. So just going to go ahead and finish with this glaze on there. Like I said, just let it dry to like a little waxy finish like, and then buff it off with a rag, and then we'll be ready to go on to our next step. So as you can tell, it is there. It's ready to go. So the next step I have on there is we're going to be using this lacquer clear that I got from Mohawk, and you're just going to go ahead and put that, a couple of thin coats of that on there. It says you need to use this clear within 6 hours of the glaze. So you know, after you get done wiping everything down, went through everything, make sure I didn't miss anything, and then go in and grab that can, and we're good to go. And like I said, you, like most things, you just want to do a thin coat. If you want to do several coats, it tells you there on the can how long to wait between the two if you want to sand it, and then you could even shoot on more coats if needed. But I think I ended up doing I think we ended up doing 2 coats on the 2 thin coats, but it came out really nice. This was a satin finish. It looks a little shiny there. It did end up dulling out a little bit, but overall I was very happy with it. Here's the hardware. We just ended up just washing it like soap and water. Dude, have to tell you here, so on the tracks there, I was actually missing a couple of balls. Got actually some ball bearings from my uncle. He had some old ball bearings, so I took the ball bearings out and measured them the size, and went through his stash of stuff, and I found some balls exactly the same size. So if you ever need any, there's your size on there. So after that, it was done. So I was really happy with it. There's just the pictures of it there in our bedroom. I can't stress how happy I was with how it came out. Like I said, I'm not a professional by any means, but it just came out, I think, super. So, hey, thanks so much for watching. I hope this helped anybody who's willing to give it a shot. I think anybody can. It just takes your time, and you'll be able to do it. So, like I said, the products were probably, I'm going to say, right around $200 or so for all the Mohawk products. But like I said, it came out really nice. I wanted to use all the same brand, to use all that, so not to have any issues with them bubbling up or anything on me. But hey, thanks again so much. I appreciate it. Don't forget, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you like this kind of content, any questions at all, leave them below. Thanks so much, and we'll see you out there later on. See you guys.